we'll first talk about traditional AI and Gen AI, right? I think there's a lot of needs out there. So first thing first is that why I want to start with this particular conversation is that a lot of customers, partners, or even vendors like us actually misuse the words of Gen AI, right? There are customers who told me that they want to do some Gen AI stuff, but when I go deeper dive, it is actually traditional AI, right? Or there are vendors that who say, yeah, we are using GenAI and so on and so forth. But again, when I go deeper dive into some of these areas that they are evolving in, it is actually traditional AI. So everyone is trying to piggyback the kind of need or the kind of momentum that the GenAI is having. However, I think it's need to get clear what it is and what it's not, right? So let's talk about traditional AI, and I think we are in a very good position to talk about that. For the last decade or so, we have been doing traditional AI for a lot of large organizations like banks, insurance, government, and so on and so forth, right? What this traditional AI or discriminative use of AI is to apply to a very narrow function. For example, we are there to help our customers to do credit risk scoring. We are there to help our customers to do pricing. We are there to help our customers to do fraud detection. However, we can't use the same model of credit risk to do the fraud detection and vice versa. In fact, from bank A to bank B, because of the data and situations different, we can't actually use the potentially the same models as well, right? So that's a very narrow use of traditional AI. However, it doesn't mean traditional is bad, right? When we look at the data points from McKinsey, the economic potential for the whole traditional AI space, right, is 22 trillion, right? And I think it has been showing the world that it's very useful for larger organizations. Now, about a year ago, OpenAI launched ChatGPT, and therefore generative AI has become a buzzword, and everyone's trying to go into that. So what is really Gen AI, right? It's not general AI or AI, artificial general intelligence. That implies that it is actually at human level of intelligence. I know that because of ChatGPT, a lot of people perceive that this is wrong perception, right? Ultimately, Gen AI is predicting the next thing. So in ChatGPT, it's basically to generate, is predicting the next words that is coming up, right? So it's useful for any written task, generating new design, and you want to have a summary, and you want to build typically for a chatbot. That is a great use of generative AI. You are generating some content out. Of course, the content is up to our imagination on how we are going to help our organizations, right? So in a typical use of personal use of GenAI, yes, it's ChatGPT generating some answers for us. It is going to be the likes of Midjourney generating some image for us, or generating some new codes and so forth. So those are all well and good for a personal setting. But in enterprises, other considerations will need to kick in. And for the space of GenAI, the economic potential, again from McKinsey, is 4.4 trillion, right? So you compare the size, there's no need to shame that we are doing traditional AI as well, or even though we are right now moving on into the Gen AI, right? Because it's a big space that everybody should actually take a look into, right? So now, with this particular definitions clear off, what we want to do next is that we actually dive into why Gen AI has been so dominating the boardroom agenda, right? So this is a research from Capgemini, and it surveys about 800 organizations. And the only industry that is not surveyed is actually the non-for-profit organizations or public organizations like government. But for all the for-profit organizations that it has gone into the survey, you can see that over 90% for all the industries, right, are actually talking about Gen AI in the boardroom. So personally, I have some experience as well. A head of technology of a large and regional/global insurance company. that has been approaching us, and the kind of problems that they face is, in a way, the regional CEO has been hearing from the markets, and I think he or she themselves has been actually trying out the ChatGPT of the world. So and obviously as a CEO, you won't need to go deeper dive into certain areas. You just actually get the ball rolling for the head of IT, right? So the head of IT will say, hey, what is the things that I can do to demonstrate that we are into GenAI and can get benefits out of GenAI, right? So that is the kind of discussions that typically we have. And it's not about technology, it's about how it gets applied. And I think the next two slides will give all of us some idea on how GenAI can apply to your organization, right? So a lot of people have been thinking, where does this apply or how does it look like, right? So number one, obviously, is everything starts, I would say, start in a way with ChatGPT. So therefore, the chatbot or chat agent type would be the obvious case. But where does it apply? So I have advanced applications and use cases that I will talk about in a short while, right? So that's a very popular one. And the next thing is that how can we get data? How can we summarize data? How can we generate new data? So that's the kind of another pointers that I think everyone can go into, right? The searches and so on and so forth. I must pinpoint that Capgemini may actually mistaken uh, the few things. For example, ML platform is not really generative AI, right? So I think that's something that I want to point out. And of course, I think in enterprise settings, they could be generating image and so forth, but I think it's limited use in certain departments like marketing and so forth. Now, where we can see GenAI can apply, the same research would recognize that, for example, in IT. Obviously, right, if let's say the regional CEO or any boardrooms would say, hey, where can we start? And let's get IT to get started. I think it's a very general way of doing it. And IT per se would be, hey, where can I actually apply? The obvious case is how can I do generate code for testing? How can I generate code and so forth? So a very famous organizations in this part of the world, OCBC, has been publicly saying that they're developing their own, they call it IT wingman of some sort, to help the software developers to actually generate code and review the code and so forth, right? So that's actually one way that IT can use. It will be closely followed by, though I think we don't have a lot of IT use cases within humans, within our organization, but sales and customer service a lot, marketing a lot, product design a lot, right? And I think again I want to point out that Capgemini may potentially be mixing up traditional AI and Gen AI. Finance, for example, processing invoices is not a generative AI function. You cannot generate something, right? For this aspect. Similarly for logistic or even risk management aspect. Though risk management aspect, I agree the use cases. Drafting and reviewing legal documents, I think is a very good use case. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. Now, my favorite research, typically from McKinsey, right? From McKinsey's standpoint, these are the economic value add, and therefore it entices us to look at where are the sweet spots to get the better benefits from generative AI, right? As you can see that overwhelmingly, right? When you deal with customer operations, you have a lot of economic value add or economic potential, right? Increased productivity of 30 to 45%. And in the use cases that I'll talk about in a short while, it is more than 30 to 45 from a customer operations standpoint, right? So when you move backwards, of course, you can actually use it to help you in product R&D, again, depending on which industry are you in, right? And what kind of process are you involved in product R&D? We have a section to talk about that. Because when you move backwards with your IT organization, you can use it to generate code in software engineering and a lot more things that you investigate in a short while. I have a use case for that. Of course, sales and marketing is an obvious choice for the use cases for generative AI. Though respectively, the amount of value add is not significant. Now, let's talk about the first use case, customers experience, right? So, as what Bill Gates has actually alluded to, the starting point for AI is always about chatbot, always about robot and things like that. Right now, we believe that with generative AI, it is moving out down to an era with AI agents, a much smarter agent, right, that help human beings like us. And along the use case, I think you can appreciate a lot more on why he suggested that. Now let's look at this Avaya example. Avaya is a very famous call center technology enabler. Now, when you look at this kind of feedback, right? So one is with generative AI, the other one is without, the left and the right, right? On the left is without, and you can see that everything is sounds okay until the point that customers actually have something that is out the norm, right? For example, this customer say that please hold on, I have someone at the door. Human being knows what it is, and in fact, from a large language model or foundational model standpoint, the foundation model know what it is, right? But a chatbot type of chatbot rather than a chat agent type of chatbot doesn't know. So therefore, it really like doesn't get it, right? And therefore the customer experience is very bad. But now, if you are talking about a Gen AI enable AI agent, you'll be able to get the right response and so on and so forth. So the customer experience are much more seamless and it will perceive that it's dealing with a human being, right? So that's one way that I want to get started with customer experience. Now, the next item that I get a lot of inquiry from different large organizations is that it's a big issue. Most of our customers, and I think yourself as well, are dealing with knowledge workers, right? They are the office workers. And what does office worker do the most, right? Yes, you need a lot of information, and you can find information likelihood within your organization or outside, right? So now let's assume that you want to find information that's take up easily 20 to 40% of the time of any of the office worker. So therefore, our customers say that, hey, we need to have business intelligence, but much more market enabled by GenAI during the search of information. So what in the past is that there's a of course Google search, right? The other one is really the dashboard. So if you want to get some information, you need to get the IT to build a nice dashboard, and then you have to what you do next, right? You have to read the kind of chart, you have to interpret your chart, and of course, I think in the first place, the IT has to build it for you. Otherwise, you as a layman office worker, you don't know how to build a nice dashboard, right? So in the era of Gen AI, this all changed. Though I must say that there are some part and parcel of the right tools even before the proliferation of Gen AI it is actually being enabled, right? The first part, as you can imagine, is the input to your questions, right? So in the past, in the ChatGPT way, we are talking about writing human way, right? So now the human way is, for example, what's the trend for this particular product over the week and by location? So you just type it up, right? So and you get the answers in the form of whatever form you like. By type, I want that to display in a table. I want it to be do it in certain ways. So now you can actually write what you want from an information perspective into a human language. And I do see also applications that enable voice, right? So imagine you are the decision maker, rather than you have to get your staff to build up all the nice dashboard for you. You just ask the questions and it will return the answers. Of course, I think now you have to trust those numbers and those facts, right? So those are another aspect that I'll come into towards the end of my of today's webinar. On how do we trust the data? How do we trust the response, right? So that's the input part, right? So you as a user of this uh, intelligence of data, you want to know something, you just use human languages, right? Now, the other aspect is the output. Now, if you see the chart on the right, uh, they are the typical charts that you will see as a typical dashboard. Now, beyond that, it should also able to generate the commentary. And you can actually have an influence on what to generate out. For example, if there's good news, you put it in green. If it's bad news, put it in red, for example, right? Just highlight that. And you can see that there are areas that the commentary suggested in red, there are commentaries suggested in green, and therefore, in a bird eye view, rather than you have to interpret every single chart and derive your outcome, and that's something that you can still continue to do. But you can also have a bird eye view, at least from a system general view, that what is the situation right now? What do you need to take care of, right? That's a very important aspect of eating the uh, the the getting of the information, understanding the situations, and making decisions. So the stakeholders, the customers can be all the stakeholders across your organization by doing uh, natural language query and by using getting the natural language output rather than just a bunch of text. And everyone thinks that, okay, now we play with ChatGPT. It sounds very simple. I do have one particular customer who started himself. He is really technical. His team is really technical, all software engineers. And he believes that by leveraging the normal Gen AI APIs, they can do something. But turn out that the results are not so good. And I think that's only one bad part about that. I think if you don't architect it well, there'll be a lot of problems down the road, right? So for example, security, the trustability of the data, and so on and so forth, right? So now let's look at this particular diagram. It is a very simple customer journey for a travel agent bot. In this case, let's imagine a bot. It is basically a AI agent, right? So that's your data. And how do you secure your data and only surface data that the bot are able to, the agent are able to get? I think that's something that you need to design. And how it works is that we need to work against the kind of expected interactions. And I have another use cases or advanced application that I would like to share in a short while that better illustrate this. But imagine this: you have different layers that you are going to interact with, and you need to design the user journey so that you know at which point in time what kind of information is going to be needed, and all the way to lead up to the closure of that particular interaction. So that is a very time consuming, and design thinking is definitely applicable to ensure that, yeah, it's not just about enabling. Sorry about that. The Gen AI, and you just fall upon a Gen AI model. But going beyond that, you need all the bells and whistles in the application building and also the architecture aspect. Now, one of the use cases that we have gotten in is actually for a regional insurance company. So the problem statement is this, right? So there are a number of Gen AI use cases that we have embarked in this particular regional insurance company. The first one that we are we have engaged with them is actually along the way of everybody thinking, right? Let's put in some of our documents and let's see what the GenAI can help. So that's how we get started of a small little pilot, and then we expand that into a production basis, right? And this particular use case is very unique because we quickly find out where is the best way to apply that. It is actually in their call center. So if everyone familiar with the insurance call center, you will quickly realize that the call center agent, rather than the other industry, they are mostly serving the insurance agent, right? Or internal, you can call it internal people. And as you can imagine, right, if you are insurance policy holder, if you need some information, you will call the agents that you trust or sold the insurance plan to you, right? Other than you log into your website or you call the call center by yourself. Not always that this will be done, but normally you will call the trusted insurance agent, right? So that is the typical flow across Asia Pacific region, right? The trust we put into the insurance agent, and guess what? Insurance agent, I think the first thing they will do is of course serve the customers, and of course they need to sell as well. They may not be able to get hold of all this information. So information is like, hey, am I eligible for this particular provision? Do I which plan that I am considering has a COVID-19 add-on, for example, right? So things like that, it's not always registered in your mind. Of course, more pertinent questions would be like, hey, this is my policy, and then you ask questions pertaining to your policy, right? So then if you don't have the answer as an agent, you have to call the call center. And guess what? 60% of the call to the call center of an insurance company for this particular customers are actually called from the insurance agent. And what if this particular trend is being minimized, right? And you can imagine that your call center operations can scale down, or they can actually better serve their customers in a different way, right? So, in a way, as you can see, some of these comments here is actually the back end way for us to actually train or fine tune the models. We have received all sort of information and documents from the insurance company, and then this one obviously is for Taiwan, and we actually go there and provide all the fine tuning and understanding how the agents, our AI agents react to make sure that the answers is top notch, right? So that this particular screen is just a training screen. We can't show the final screen because of the non-disclosure concern. But nevertheless, I think you can see the power of that, and we have a case where real savings are able to be extracted, right? So now, there's one department called call center in the insurance company. How about the agent side? Agent side runs and see this, and an agent are actually using this particular screen as well, right? They think that is very useful. Now, agents are always smart, and the agency head quickly realize that there's additional value that we can bring. Now, this particular insurance company has also ingested getting us to ingest a lot more other documents, and these are public documents from their competitors on the competitor's product information and so on and so forth, right? And what's next, right? Now, rather than the agent need to spend a lot of time to study your product and your competitor's product and understand how it's going to sell against the other product, what is my product strength and weaknesses and all these things, get the virtual assistant, or in fact virtual coach in this case, right, to help you. Now, the insurance agent and even the product marketing specialists are now able to use this kind of interface to understand your product and how it's going to sell against another company's product, right? And if you are already in the insurance industry for 20, 30 years, maybe this is not that useful. You already know how all these things done, even though you are not actuarial, for example. But for people who is newly started or all the way until like 5, 10 years, this is a good tool. This is a proper tool for you to use. And you have now a virtual assistant or virtual coach side by side to your insurance agent 24 times 7, right? Any questions, you can get them to ask it. So that's the kind of benefits that and use cases that in the insurance industry. Now, the other industry that has been disrupted by generative AI in a very constructive way is a call center industry, right? So call center industry, as we all know, is driven by SLA, right? So, and of course, there are different use cases that they need to settle and so on and so forth. And now, by using the generative AI in the right way, they are able to change the game, right? So let's see how these customers are embarking on this journey, right? So they call this particular GenAI a virtual concept. Uh, Generative AI can do a lot of great things, but let's start small. Even though small is actually very, very useful. So let's imagine in a very in a any typical call center for IT setting, right? So you call in, you as a customer, you call into a call center of your IT vendor for a service, right? A service request. Something is wrong, right? So in this example, let's say we only have two situations. One is hardware failure, the other one is production down, for example, right? So the virtual concierge job is really to first capture all the details required for any category of the issues, and bear in mind that different issues uh, in different categories will require different types of information. I'll come to that in a short while. And once it's accurately identified the issues and the categories, you need to actually hook the user to get the right answer. So in a similar human being conversation, we have to ask questions, right? So similar to the virtual concierge, we have to actually try to get all the information required, and if it's not clear or the user has not given the right answer that you are expecting, you can probe it in a different way again. Just make sure that it sounds like a human, and the customers doesn't even able to recognize that it's actually from a virtual context rather than an actual context, right? So go back to this scenario. Um, there are two situations that I'm trying to illustrate. Number one is hardware failure. The other one is production down. Each one of it has to capture a variety of different type of information or data points. And once the data point is accurately captured, determined by the virtual context, you will then able to stop the call, hang up the call in a nice way, and generate a service request with the accurate data, right? So this particular process, if it's handled by human being, it is actually you need a long time to go back and forth and imagine that this person has to key in all the information, jot down all the information down, and you have to get a repeat again and things like that. And until that the whole call finish, you need to make sure that the informations are gathered sufficiently, and then it launch a service request applications and in all this information, and the whole process make all the call center companies that they to commit their SLA like 1 hour or 30 minutes, right? That's actually pretty good. All the way until the service requests are kicking off and the process of resolution can get started, right? So we can actually get it down to like 2 minutes. It can even shorter than 2 minutes because once the call is done, a service request API is going to post to the service uh, uh, request application, for example, a service now application, and the whole process will take much less than 2 minutes, right? So what these screens on the left are trying to show us, it is actually a training screen for our internal data scientists, right? So we have to make sure that we are able to gather all sorts of different questions and make sure that there's a fine tuning about the voice. And we all know that voice for different person are different, right? So my English will likely have a very strong Cantonese accent because I'm actually from a Cantonese background. I speak Cantonese daily, right? So, and somebody may speak Tagalog, somebody may speak Mandarin, and somebody may speak Indian, right? So we have our own accent, and we must able to fine tune the voice to text so that we are able to now capture the data accurately. Number one. Number two, we are able to rephrase that and ask the right questions so that all the data points are being captured, and this training screen is allowing us to populate all this information, and the our data scientists are able to now cross check whether the information that during the training time of the models are capturing accurately, and we are able to demonstrate that to our customers. So that's actually how a virtual concierge would be a game changer uh, as applications for generative AI for call center, right? Now, from a content perspective, right? GenAI can generate a lot of content. From a user journey perspective, a user, regardless of any industry, you need to discover the product that you want to buy. You want to have time to evaluate. You find it. You buy it, and then you use it or you manage it, and then at some point in time you want to buy it again, right? So that's a typical buying process of customers. And now, according to Deloitte, right, you at every single step, you are able to now generate the right content at step by step, right? So in this case, from a sales and marketing standpoint, this is a good way that if you want to go deeper dive in, at which area that you want a dynamic content to be generated. Now we have some examples within us, right, as human. So any items from the left to the middle is something that we have been doing it in traditional AI. That's why the title is called Combining Traditional AI with GenAI, right? So um, in the past, there's a product that we have called Q Optimize, right? And it serves all the great things of helping organizations like insurance or banks or payment networks to be able to generate AI-driven engagement. For example, it's able to find out that based on the data patterns, and we are able to identify that this particular segment of customers would likely be consume this particular content or this particular product, right? So with this insight, is able to now push using APIs to the internet banking, mobile banking, or any of the ecosystem app from the merchant standpoint and so forth, right? So that's the power of this particular application. And things are still not changed in the middle. So after that, I think we are looking at the way on how do we segment these customers. Are they in the acquire but not activate stage, activated already, and then we will do more iterations of right now they are considered awake, right? So I'm not going to go deeper dive into this 4A's model. If you are interested, do let us know, and we can actually talk further on that. But now imagine this, right? In the past, what the AI thing would do is all the way until the API engagement out, right? So let's display a notification and let's display a particular banner and so forth, right? So now, um, where is this offers, banners, notifications come from, right? It comes from our behavioral analysts working with the customers with all sorts of different offers. And we categorize these offers into nudge, recommend, and reward. Take a step back, right? Most of the time, we want to instill behavioral changes for the benefits of our own organizations and, of course, our target audience, right? If we want them to transact more, if we want them to do more, that's a behavioral change for our target audience. And through the nudges, recommendations, and rewards, we will change our behavior to follow what the organizations may have in mind that hopefully also benefit to us as well, right? Now, um, how do we contextually nudge, recommend, and reward is a hard job. And whatever predictions that we come up with traditional AI is all good as well, right? Now, the design of it may be very time consuming. With generative AI, we can contextually generate the right nudge, the right recommendation, and the right rewards for each one of you. So therefore, right now, personalization is not a myth. It is possible using generative AI. Okay, in education as well, and we are seeing a lot of content being generated. What is most time consuming for a lecturer or a teacher? You may ask, right? It is not so much on the preparing for the classes and so forth. That's one aspect, but all other works, including generating the evaluations, right? So right now, with different more advanced uh, education institutes, including country level, ministry level of the entities, they are looking at ways. For example, can we look at how can we generate uh, the evaluations for this particular subject for standard 5, right? So that's actually how different tests are being tested out. And I must say that right now there's no broad-based implementation yet. There's a lot of test beds that's happening. Though I think between smaller education institutions, this is actually starting to be rolling out. I can foresee that next year because the tests are pretty yield a very good result. As you can see here, right, the now we just put in the right content, right? In this case, a particular quiz, you can actually allow the GenAI to generate the evaluations that in fact associated with points, right? So we can even generate the right answers so that during the marking, the lecturers or the teachers are no need to find out which one is the model answer, right? Now, what even of better help to the lecturer or the teachers is the way to generate to mark the evaluations that is generated, right? So that go one step further on saving the time of the lecturers or the teachers so that they can focus on the curriculum planning, on how to teach it in a more effective way and so forth, and defer all other maintained tasks to generative AI. Okay, now let's switch gears to product design and development, right? Product design and development is a very big topic for any organization, right? We are talking about from macro level. You must first understand the markets, you must first understand the competitors. So what is the market and competitive uh, intelligence or MTI? Then you need to do product discovery. You need to design your product, and you also want, for example, GenAI to help you to prepare some synthetic data, and you can automatically do A/B tests and so forth and optimization, right? So those are what generative AI can handle. Of course, in a very micro way, we have seen that some organizations are just using generative AI to do things like generating product description, which is good, save time, generating images, again, which is good, save time and save money, right? So those are all well and good, even no matter you're talking about macro and micro. Now, let's take a look into one use case, right? So that's what we have done for organizations in Hong Kong in the past, right? So when we talk about market and competitive intelligence, in the past it's always about getting data from the market, the regulators, if you are regulated industries, and the competitors, and then to look at the data and to now help to frame certain view for our customers, right? So it's always about charts and it's very structured. Now, in the current world, you can have unstructured data in text that quickly be analyzed and also to predict. So that's something that you can achieve with traditional AI in the traditional natural language processing, and of course, make better or more accurate with generative AI or the foundational model. The other great things that come out of generative AI is that now you want better value from a market and competitive intelligence. You want to know how attractive is your product, right? Against the market expectations, against what's available in with the competitors. And with that, we are able to now use a product attractiveness score, which can be helped with all the generative AI capabilities to not generate a feature score or generate a product attractiveness score, right? And also the NPS, the net promoter score, so that now you can use that to actually make a product roadmap on what do you want to focus on, what features are you want to focus on, what product are you want to focus on, and which one you want to dive. Now in the future, right? Rather than you use chart, a nice chart is good, but now you can actually leverage on something like ChatGPT as a AI agent to ask questions, right? If you are a product designer, you are a developer of the product, you can actually use generative AI to ask questions. So that's the power of the next generation market and competitive intelligence, just like what I have shown you of what our insurance customer has done, that the virtual assistant or virtual coach. Now, the other aspect of product is obviously software. I'm not going to go deeper dive. And basically, a lot of people just think that it's just about generating codes. It's more than that. You can generate the test cases, you can generate the languages, you can generate of course, the code, the functions, documentations, uh, and automate the entire testing, right? So those are entire aspects of software development lifecycle that you can empower by generative AI. Now, I want to go slightly deeper into this. It's a very interesting use case that we have gotten. I call that service development. This is for a healthcare case, right? So in healthcare, you can imagine if you are a doctor, you are very time consuming, right? Sometimes in certain countries, you have KPIs like how long you are servicing one particular patient. You want to give a lot of attention to them, but you also brought down by the limited time because there's the next patient, many other patients waiting out there, right? So you need to balance that, right? So you need to give attention to the patient, but what you want to do much faster is the summary of the medical history, and if there are conversations between you and also the patients that you need, you can digitize it and then come up with all the summaries and also your prescriptions, and you can summarize and you can just review that before you submit. That is the kind of time that you save. And imagine in a 15 minutes consultation, and right now you save like 5 minutes or plus minus, right, of all this admin work. There's a significant saving. Even after the patient walk out, you need to finish off all your prescriptions and things like that. And you can use generative AI to help, right? So one of the problems that a lot of people are facing, because now we are talking about life and death situations, right? So medical transcription is always hard because I fancy all the medical practitioners, all the doctors, because there are so many terms that uh, that is very tricky. I couldn't even pronounce a lot of them, and you can remember all. Now, having said that, I think one of the things that the hardest thing for us to crack is that similar to the call center cases, we are all in different races, we are all in different backgrounds, and we have different accents, right? Coupled with the trickiness in medical languages or medical specific words, it makes medical transcriptions very, very difficult to be accurate. But now we have cracked it. Not 100% yet, we are still fine tuning it, but I think you can see we are almost there, right? So now, this is non-sensitive information, just showcasing, that we take some medical transcriptions, medical recording. That is no patient information or whatnot. It's just a doctor talking about different medical related aspects. And we try to do these transcriptions just for showcasing purpose, right? And in this case, the key thing is that we are accurately identified uh, almost all the words um, in the medical terms. That's actually highlighted in green, right? And as you can see that I think those green one is actually not normally being mentioned by humans. Coupled with our accents, it's very tough for any models to be able to transcript, and we have successfully done it. And once the fine tuning is done, we are there poised to help all the medical doctors to save time, right? Now, with all these nice use cases, I think it's good, but I think we must also realize that uh, we are working for enterprise. And as the recent news that you may have heard about OpenAI issues, right? So they are the people to hack them and things like that. So securities are all this of most importance for organization, not about some personal projects. It's all about your organizations or your enterprise, right? So this is our proposed enterprise generative AI framework. We must start with, of course, a LM. We can use all the good LMs, right? Yeah, if I want to mention names, that's the likes of say Anthropic. I think has been taken, for example, by likes of AWS. or the Google. And of course, on the other side is actually OpenAI, right? The GPT-4 or GPT-4 Turbo model. These two are comparably great, right? Plus, you have the open source versions of Llama 2. So regardless of you want to deploy on-prem, on cloud, uh, choose one that you trust, and you look at the different aspects. They have all exhibit slightly different characteristics. Find one that works for your organization, right? Next is, where is the repository of your data and knowledge that includes unstructured data, right? So I call it as organizational knowledge base, and if your organization is advanced enough, your data lake, right? So now you have all your data in there. You need to find out which use case that you want to do and what data that you want. If your data lake project doesn't include all these aspects like security of your data, right? Access of your data that really need to be secured, the quality of your data, the governance of data, like who can access what, and the privacy aspect, like certain sensitive information like patient data and so forth. You need to mask out, or you can't even release to the large language model. You all need to be protected, right? So data, you need to do all this. Now, one layer up, you need to ensure that the fine tuning process are able to now enable the AI to be trusted. You can trust the result. What are the confidence level that the results of this output is good? The accountability. It fulfills the ethics and fairness. It won't discriminate any races and so forth. So that's part and parcel of fine tuning over and above the accuracy, right? So you need to ensure all these AI ethics, fairness, trust, and accountability there. And last but not least, how the user is going to use it, right? So it is active like a ChatGPT format, or it exists in some apps, it exists in your corporate dashboard and so forth. So that's the different layers of technologies that you need to embark on. So that's our proposed enterprise Gen AI framework. Now, I've been talking for a while now. This is the last slide. And in summary, GenAI is not in the future. GenAI is available right now. As you can attest by all the past use cases that I have demonstrated in the past, in the last 14, 15 minutes or so. And the key is there are people who start using it. At least there are people who is also start testing it. How about you, right? So you must need to start looking at it. Start by asking yourself what use case are good for you, right? So the speed of you enabling your organizations to benefit from it will determine your organization's competitiveness and even survival, right? We have seen that organizations, their business model has been disrupted, right? Ideally not damaged by the emergence of GenAI. The typical translation services, I think, will be quite badly damaged, right? So you need to quickly understand what kind of use cases that you can use and put it in your product and services, or use it internally first, so that you can start to gain benefits and start to then see what other use cases that would help you to propel your organization to the next level. The other item is potentially looking at how you can combine traditional AI and generative AI to maximize your organizational edge. Using the examples that we have, now from a sales perspective, rather than you have generating all the market basket, all the segmentations, what if you generate all the large recommend and reward in a contextual manner, right? So the other things that I would like to urge you is that getting started if you are unsure by partnering with an experienced AI player that enable you in your daily AI journey.
So the first question we have here is that one of the participants she's been asked to evaluate how to apply Gen AI to her organization. So Yokling, how can she get started?
Right. So I think it's a very relevant question, because I think we do have a lot of experience dealing with such a questions. No matter they are from IT or they are from any line of business, they will get this particular questions a lot. My suggestion is actually to really go deeper dive into the problem areas that you want to fix. So I just use the example, right? Now going back to the insurance example, the customers noted that between the operation wise, the call center actually got bombarded by the insurance agent, right? So therefore, they start to have some thought as in what kind of calls the call center, the insurance agents are going to ask this call center agent and so forth. And taking deeper, they will find that this is actually a very justifiable use case and very good use case in fact for GenAI. The next thing that I think they will need to do, if you are one of them that being asked by your boss to conduct this work, is really to go deeper dive into the potential ROI that you can gain, because that's the next questions that your boss is going to ask. So on a very high level basis, I'll just put the numbers from uh, the king of this GenAI right now is OpenAI. The numbers that they quoted is every single message that we write in and they have answer for is worth about 30 cents USD, right? Uh, for their cost, just for their cost on answering the question. Doesn't count the data scientist cost, the development cost, and so forth, just to answer that question, right? So if you multiply that, and when you want to put it back to production, the benefits have to be much more than this 30 cents per questions and per request, right? So that would be forming up a very good use case for generative AI for your organization.
Okay, thank you, Yong. Hope this will help. And then let's move to second question. So one participant would like to know how easy is it to build one Gen AI use case or application?
Right. Very good questions. We do get asked for this a lot. Unfortunately, I may have to disappoint you because the quick answer is it depends. But you can also quantify it a little bit further. So the hard part for us, there are two parts, right? The development and also the technology choice and other aspects. But from a development standpoint, it hinges down to uh, the input, the process, the output, right? So the output is really what you want. Are you just having a chat agent type of interface, just like ChatGPT, or do you want something further, generate documents, for example? So that define the output. And then from the middle standpoint is the process, how accurate you want to be, how fast you want to be the response. You must answer your questions in 5 seconds or below 5 seconds. So we need to know the expectation of the process side. Uh, uh, and sorry, I need to go back to the output side. The output side also hinges on what do you want? Do you want to have very high accuracy? Do you want to also have, for example, the kind of other elements like you need to put references and things like that. So those are you added in terms of the development time and cost, right? The last part is the input. Input is very easy. It's the kind of information slash documents that you want to put it in. Is a bunch of database table, is a bunch of documents. So we need to quantify that, for example, 200 documents, right? And so forth. So in a nutshell, just give you a ballpark. The development time is ranged between 2 months to 4 months, again, based on all these complexities that I talk about.
Okay, thanks, Yong. I hope this will help because I think most of us will be interested to know like how easy is it to build before getting started. And yeah, also, the third question we have here is about uh, I saw ChatGPT, which I think Yokling has also mentioned a few times just now. So, what are the differences if I just use ChatGPT or ChatGPT Plus to build something versus an enterprise Gen AI?
Very good questions. Now, even I will go further from these questions. In case the person that asked the questions may not see, for example, the OpenAI Dev Day presentation, which was done by the currently ex CEO of OpenAI, Sam Altman, right? So in that Dev Day, it actually opened up for a few other things as well, which is really interesting. However, I must really point out the differences of using this OpenAI or even all these custom GPT or whatever functions that OpenAI has stated it has. Does this satisfy your organization needs? Not so much of individual needs. Yeah. You want to use it for quick preparations for a document. As long as it doesn't leak out your company information, it is fine. So the first point related to this is it does not satisfy security and privacy. There's a very big news when ChatGPT is first out that it caused Samsung to fire a number of the staff because they actually use so-called leak out the information unknowingly through the use of ChatGPT, right? And we do have many other horror stories about this. So the data that you use on this, it may be being leaked out, right? So that's the kind of problems that you face. Now, from enterprise basis, as per what I have shared earlier on the proposed framework for enterprise GenAI, it is about how do we secure your data, right? It's about your data, it's not general data. And also how do you want to use AI, because that's also a function of how the stakeholders, including your customers or public, perceive you, right? If let's say the Gen AI that you built actually generate unsuitable answer, unfair answer, and so on and so forth, right? Which can be easily manipulated if you are using ChatGPT. You just need to get someone to do a wrong prompt again and again. It will learn the wrong prompt. That you can even suggest that I am actually a professor, which I'm not, right? So that is something that we need to be well taken care of. For personal use, for fun, yes, I think ChatGPT or ChatGPT Plus is a great help. But for enterprise scale usage, especially your sensitive enterprise, you need to safeguard your data. My advice is do think twice.